One of those things where we've seen this fight happen yesterday. We know that both sides have essentially bested one another in a different scenario or another. So for Agers and Kanata, it's either this game one, they want to earn their respect all the way through and finish these fights because they're feeling very much confident, or they're going to take a tough lesson and ultimately end up earning the respect or getting the respect taken from them, right? From Walkers and company. But hold up, Clix and Epic, we are in a fight here.
Doesn't seem though that Clix was able to get the finish there for the knock onto Day. Day will get a nice opportunity to practically refill his shields to full. And now Clix, Epic, they got some damage already online there up against the likes of Day and Redux. They don't want to keep testing their luck. Clix gonna take the pass off of that medallion from Epic. Always love the freebie shield regen up to 50. And now Clix, Epic also monitoring another team that's just slightly east of them from their current position. And once you start to approach that bridge, I think Clix and Epic, they really just want to control how the teams behind them are going to be rotating.
No Boyo here. It did look like Snacky ended up getting the best of Boyo. Peterbot has to play this one out solo at the moment. That Blade's gonna go allow him to bounce all the way back, likely play for, I was just gonna say, better positioning here. Make sure he can gather as much information as possible. As long as he knows the opponent isn't watching, standing around, right? Likely gatekeeping the card, that's what he's trying to figure out. There is still that one lurking teammate, so there it is. Not exactly on top of the card, so Peterbot catches the opportunity here to back off. The marker comes out, they know exactly where the reboot vans are going to be.
And this with 2 medkits in tow, Peterbot realistically should be able to get this reboot off for Poyo. And it's definitely still early enough that they can look to try and refarm out some materials, some better loot as well for Poyo. But what's really going to make things rough, Monster, is just that rotation up north. With the way that the zone is looking to pull towards that northern side of the map, coming all the way from Ruined Reels, it can definitely be pretty easy. You're looking a lot more susceptible if you're Peterbot and Poyo at getting held up on the edge of zone on that long rotation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All the teams going to be looking to hold teams out, of course, as their first priority to the edges. Lavish Lair continuing to be a place of gathering. Every single time we've tuned into the Lavish Lair, I mean, it is just a hot spot for teams to not only situate up at the top of the castle, but just all within, inside, outside, around it. Oh, back to Peterbot, the safe pickup here for Boyo. He's trying to hit the vending machine, make sure he's got enough heals to weather the rotate here. And just think about the setback, the time setback here. That's what's going to be holding Peterbot back the most now for the remainder of this game. Here's the surge, the damage that he's going to have to make up for. I mean, it's just surely going to force them to take a battle.
But it's definitely still an effort from Peterbot. Curious to see how things pan out for him and Poyo as this match continues to progress. And it's for Duke in threats, though. Overlooking Rift Island for the time being. Duke's Reaper Sniper in tow. Heads, got to be careful when you're looking for those peaks outside of your boxes. Especially when you consider the fact that Duke threats, we've already got 2 E-limbs. Looking for this next immediate fight. Threats trying to jump in, go straight for the box. Tired of waiting around. Duke, much of the same mental here. Just gonna challenge on the backside there, trying to escape. Just a really clean sweep between Duke and Threats to really secure Rift Island.
Yeah, that's how they pick.
In tow. Heads, got to be careful when you're looking for those peaks outside of your boxes. Especially when you consider the fact that Duke Threats.
Surge.
In tow. Heads, got to be careful when you're looking for those peaks outside of your boxes. especially when you consider the fact that Duke threats
Hell yeah, that's actually
have already
really
got
cool.
2 elims. Looking for this next immediate fight. Threats
Actually
trying to
so
jump in, to
sick.
go straight for the box. Tired of waiting around. Duke, much of the same mental here. Just gonna challenge on the backside there, Havoc trying to escape. Just a really clean sweep between Duke and Threats to really secure Rift Island.
Yeah, that's how they picked up their 3rd and 4th elims. So they're definitely fired up right now. For Day and Redux, a team that is, of course, entering into the set lobbies this weekend. They've already given a team their run for their money. We've seen them come across the, you know, upper bracket team of Kanata, and now they're just, again, one of those teams that are going to continue to have their way. But the Lavish Lair, like I said, is going to continue to be a hot spot here. It's not going to be too center, so yep, it is going to be time to move. Dan Redux are going to try to play for dead middle here, and the high ground, the key positioning here, not being taken this early, so it's going to be probably one of the better spots you can get this soon into the new zone reveal. And all things considering, this is a great find to get here nice and early, so this key positioning is going to work out very well. There's going to be so many teams that are going to be on the move, and the fact that they're here early, they shouldn't have any problems with Surge should they hit their tags. For Edgy and Tavern, Edgy essentially was downed very early. You saw from that Baka engagement. It's one of the first to catch a casualty, but Tavern, trusty with the quick save here, and look at this. They might just find their first elims. Edgy with a quick glance at the toes there. You know, he saw it for a second and it ends up working out as another team puts their influence into the mix as well. Shots raining into these boxes here make it even easier for Edgy and Tavern.
It just seems like Ilash had zero expectations that that's the direction the crash pad was going to take Edgy and Tavern. It's so hard to escape too when you just suddenly have a duo immediately collapsing on your backside. But Peterbot, he brought Pollo back into this game once already. Question is if he's going to opt to go for the reboot card again. I'd say it's rather unlikely, but not impossible. Right now, Peterbot a little bit more prioritized on just getting revenge for his teammate. And it starts with this elimination onto Blizzard. Now Peterbot going to be able to work his way through some of these pre-existing builds. Pretty big fight that just took place. But Peterbot Pollo, this was the start of the end, at least for Pollo, but Peterbot was just getting things rolling. A nice knock onto Victor rather quickly as well. Just continuing to showcase what the Frenzy Auto can really do.
Yeah, you can see Victor had no idea what went wrong there. Everyone was landing, just trying to get situated inside the box for Peterbot. He found himself just a matter of moments sent back to the lobby. But Peterbot lost his teammate in the process too. It wasn't just an elimination. Of course, he picks up a casualty. Here's Reet and Ritual, just continuing the pace from yesterday. This is another team that was on that, you know, Boyo train as well, just consistently finding themselves not only end game but eliminations, right? Trending towards the top as one of the better teams in the upper bracket. And now everyone's here as the chances are starting to run thin.
Reet and Ritual kind of just taking the focus of the lobby currently. All they're trying to do is just break into this edge of zone, but Snacky and Possessed, they're going to be the ones trying to prevent this rotate from Reet and Ritual happening super smoothly. Already Ritual down to 10 shield. Definitely going to cost him at least one of his shield potions. But the medallion definitely helps mitigate some of those resources that he might have had to use initially.
So annoying.
Always love that feature.
With the medallion.
It's almost like a hot potato, essentially, when it comes to the medallion and some of these teams. Just making sure that the other is covered. But pretty interesting position right now from Reet and Ritual. Definitely looking to try and make more of an approach from the dead side of zone.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, they're keeping the zone right behind them, which is allowing them to save a little bit of material. I mean, every ounce counts at this point, and it does seem like the zone's going to pull their way. Back over to Baka and Pars, who are below the surge right now, having a very difficult time here maintaining. Now, they do have a lot of heals. They could spend more time here, but the sound cues are given away to Day and Redux, and you could just tell things are very chaotic right now for the professional players. As Day and Redux lose track of Baka, he does the damage, but it does seem like he's been singled out. It does seem like he's been cornered out. They know where he's at, but there's too much attention now coming from opponents here, from the rest of the lobby. And Baka is just on the move. Look at how much more metal and brick he still has left. So this is showing you he's not even building. He's just ratting his way through these existing builds, editing his way up and down, outmaneuvering Day and Redux, and the continued counter fire, right? That's very important to extending his tournament life right now.
Just can't help but wonder what things would be like if Baka still at Pars by his side. Given how much of a run for their money Baka was just giving Day and Redux, the fact that he managed to give them a slip entirely, the grapple blade is safety for the time being. If Baka can pinpoint Braids though, as a solo, will manage to grapple blade right over his head. Beautiful hammer pump for the elimination, and just gets him a little bit more materials. It's not like he was ever hurting in the first place for builds, but now he's definitely more than set. The damage threshold, though, still 32 below.
Yeah, even though he's only 32 below, that was just an exceptional read, and another exceptional read, finding players out of position. Diego Play should know better than to be sitting behind the edge of zone right here when you still have a couple of squares to move inwards, and Baka is taking full advantage of these chances here and making it look like he knows exactly what he is trying to achieve right now, and that is more bang for his buck. He knows he needs damage. He needs more and more damage. I think the eliminations are obviously a bonus here, and the fact that they're solos, even better. You just don't see that very often. That's what we can definitely call a clutch play right there to keep his tournament life alive right now, and the win potentially, you know, on the line here.
Bryce and Chubbs also, though, facing the end of their first lobby. If they can't find some tags soon enough, the damage just keeps pouring in. The amount of ticks they've already taken, and finally Bryce will manage to connect just a little bit, but still short.
No.
Till it finally ticks on over. A brief pause, but so many heals having already been expended for Bryce and Chubbs. They have no shields to function with. It is entirely up to them to just find the most perfect refresh and hope that the other players have resources they can utilize, but don't want to find themselves getting eliminated in the process. Clicks and Epic will, for a moment, contemplated challenging Bryce and Chubbs, but it's all about positional rotations right now, and Bryce, Chubbs, they're going to go for the high ground.
Yeah, this is where you gotta be really on point with your teammate right here. When you don't
this
have
announcer's so ass.
I was gonna say, you guys gotta move in unison, make the commitment together, but Chubbs get left behind, unfortunately, in the box there. And now it's up to Bryce, who's on the front side to rotate here. Tough spot to be in. I mean, he might be able to find something. Maybe there's some points awaiting him, but I have to assume that this is all but over for him. Meanwhile, Clicks and Epic will get taken out by Peterbot there. Woo. Did not see really any sign of a resistance there, so GG's for them. Now on over to Kanata and Aegis, who are peeking out, just gathering information here. They're at the front side of this rotate here, so obviously in a key position here to continue to conserve mass. More importantly, just keep a low profile, right? We already know that low ground is going to be one of the better places you could be here if you want to keep your win condition alive. Now, you will have to fight for it, but it's not going to be the type of scrappy fight that is going to happen on high ground when you are going head-to-head, and it seems like Kanata might be making that decision to fight for height.
You can tell that Kanata and Aegis definitely want to look for a challenge up on the high ground, but right now, Peterbot, you would think that he's a duo with the way that this man is maneuvering through all of these pre-existing builds. Finds himself a nice section of mid-ground, but that is up until the boxes up above get opened up. Peterbot now in a fight for his life here. Just build after build, walls getting tossed up, completely expended all of his materials though, but just manages to escape into the safety of a building. Peterbot, though, still looking, but it does find a small opportunity to possibly look to get a couple of mats.
And, you know, what Peterbot just did there is only possible if you are an incredibly mechanical player. There are some players that can do things that are just not average, right? And that's an above average player just doing above average things. You don't jump into a 2-box, you know, by yourself. For Kanata, Agers, you can see here, they're finally starting to find themselves some elimination, getting their feet on the ground here, but it comes at the cost of Kanata now. So Agers gonna have to play this one out by himself. They could have had the refresher that they were looking for, but unfortunately it was the team right underneath them. And things are all starting to go south here for some of the vets. Meanwhile, on high ground, big battles going out here. Decisions.
I'm eating. I don't want you to hear me chew.
They want to go up for it. They are taking no prisoners though. Possessed down to 11 HP here. And yeah, they're in control of high ground, but at what cost? It looks like everything. Rise comes flying down now too, and Iyamzo and Rise here have a chance to be the high ground owners, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, Iyamzo definitely not liking eating those shots, just trying to get into the same box as his duo, but Rise gonna have to try and provide some coverage. Iyamzo, though, doesn't have an opportunity to pop the shield potion. Beautiful knock, though. Great elimination. That refresh could be the chase saver that Iyamzo needs. Ager's also gonna be forced to drop here after eating a massive tag. High ground, just not a possibility with Agers being a solo. It's all Day and Redux now holding height.
I like this. See, so they managed to time the high ground take very, very late into the game here to try to be the last one to cause an issue, right? And force their way out of material potentially, but now no, they have plenty of resources. Meanwhile, on the low ground, this is the more, I'd say the position the veterans want to be in, right? Be the owners of the low ground, take full control of it, take care of the teams one at a time, and walk your way towards the end game. Yes, you're gonna have to be a little bit more aware. You're probably gonna have to work a little bit harder. However, if you can do it like this, and a win condition opens yourself up, I mean, you might just be the most positioned to actually win the entire game. Look at how Bugha and Aviv are dismantling everyone right now on this low ground situation. And could they have a little moment to breathe here, Taco? They could actually win this. They had the medkits. He must have dropped them. Yep, he did. He leaves it to Redux because he's actually the first one injured. And Redux jumps down too. So they're going all for it. But Bugha's already healing. This might be a huge mistake, but no. Bugha will have to come fight. It's not going to be given to him unless he finds the tag now, and he does. He actually turns things around in a 2v1.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the cool composure.
Wow.
I did not think Bugha was going to win that.
Not even break for a second there. That man's focus is on another level. Sees Aviv getting pieced up by Day and Redux, and initially did look as though it was going to resort to a heal off their MDF, but Bugha truly taking matters into his own hands.
Yeah, he just knew. He knew immediately. I only have 2 medkits. If they're here, they're at the zone.
Bugha and Aviv. Bugha specifically with a massive solo clutch to punch his ticket.
We cannot forget, yes, these victory royales throughout the day mean oh so much.
No, this is, I don't know. I think it's either Peterbot or like Miro who won the globals. This is NA. I watch Europe by myself, and then I watch NA on stream. So we got Bugha 1, nice. Bro,
Kelly,
like,
that grand final spot,
sad,
making sure that your top 20 on that leaderboard keeps you in the upper bracket going into the market.
Sadly, I'm the only one watching.
And like I was mentioning,
you
Monster,
don't have to point that
we
out.
saw Bugha and Aviv. Bugha specifically with a massive solo clutch to punch his ticket to the grand finals. But for Day and Redux, it can definitely be a pretty big blow coming in second place in that first lobby, but they still have 4 more chances to do it.
Yeah, I mean, call a spade a spade. Day and Redux made a huge mistake. Redux should not have come down. He had 4 medkits. 4 medkits. Day had full
like watching my
HP,
live
right?
streams,
He
you
did
should like
fine
this
getting
stream.
that first elimination, and
Like
he
the
honestly
live
would have
stream.
likely stalled out Vuga from healing any further. Like, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Redux just should not have been on that layer. Neither here nor there, though. We're gonna get right into the action for game 2. Revised, Ro Kane. We didn't get to see any of them last game, so definitely one of the few teams that were taken out a little bit earlier into the running, and this time you can see they are wearing their scars. Tough spots to be in. Aoxy and Flow here defending their drop valiantly. Both sides are going to back off for a second here and get situated. You find amongst the top tier players, they will not really allow a team to extend this far out. Most will go and just fully commit. Like, this fight would have ended a lot sooner. So I am curious to see how this is going to play out if both teams completely back out. And on that note, Creep and Hades continuing the pace from last game as well. Another fight here. Once again, Victor finds himself as a solo, a teammate down. And the same thing, right? This should have already ended. This should not be getting drawn out like this. Victor shouldn't be having this much time to farm up material. This is how you lose your opportunity. This is how you lose your advantage. Small advantage that you may have had, right? And look at this. That block doesn't happen if you don't give him time to actually have the mats, right, to contest you here. So you've got to be super careful here. Look at this. No shields to work with other than what's on, and very limited material here too.
If this turns against Creep and Hades,
It might.
I'm right there with you, MDF. They're giving Victor so much time to really gather his thoughts. Methodical approach as well from Victor. Only 5 builds though, but he does have a small shield advantage. That is up until Creep and Hades managed to find a little bit of relief here, but still, the hesitation behind taking this challenge against Victor, you know it's a solo. You can just full dive Creep, trying to look for a different angle to approach, but part of the problem here is that Creep and Hades, they keep attacking from the exact same position. Finally gonna be a break off here for Creep, and he will find the elimination onto Victor, but definitely a much more extensive fight than what it probably needed to be.
And look at this. This is a worst case scenario right now for Ro Kane and Revised. They had obviously a tough time on the drop. We already talked about that, but as they rotate out, Visuals and Braids are here with so much, and I mean so much material, ammunition, and arsenal to boot here. This is a tough spot to be in for any one team, but they do a great job. Okay, they put a lot of damage here onto Braids. Gonna cause a bit of a reset, gonna slow things down. The momentum now in Ro Kane's favor. Ro Kane is someone who has long earned his stripes. You can see they're coming up off the 2 Elam, so they actually ended up winning their battle, and this team moves on in onto them. So just not casting a break at all, but they do cast Braids, however, with a monstrous shot there. No grapple hook to disengage either, so they will just have to see how this plays its course.
Braids definitely not suspecting that floor was not his.
Not at all.
And now Ro Kane, crash pad up above.
Bro, I went up.
With Revise. Revise though,
I went up
definitely hurting a
30
little bit
subs
here. Doesn't have any
overnight.
shields to replenish, but Ro Kane trying to even the playing field here using these shield breaker EMPs. Visuals, Braids still doing a decent job though at avoiding taking any damage from those shield breaker EMPs to their shields specifically, but Ro Kane seems like he wants to take a slightly more tactical approach, but Visuals, Braids, they've opted to just disengage. Will eat some damage though from teams on the other side from where they were currently situated. And now another pretty big box fight taking place here just outside of Reckless Railways. And it's Reet and Ritual trying to run down Jiven and his duo. But Piggle and Jiven, they're definitely making some good ground to get away from Reet and Ritual.
Yeah, they do enough to back off here. Clearly the more experienced team, Reet and Ritual, determining the pace of this fight, but the more that they do this, the more time that it's going to take away from them having to actually set up. However, though, Peterbot and Boyo trying to pick up the pace, making up for what all went wrong last game. This time looking a lot better for them. Already a singular elimination. Already, is this for the forecast tower here? Does seem like they're trying to take full control here, get all the benefit just outside the ruin.
I love this switch up too for Peterbot and Pollo. They completely based up around the forecast tower here next to ruined reels. They wanted to make sure those NPCs wouldn't have a chance to escape, that they could secure that forecast key card, and also did a great job at pushing off the other team that was trying to challenge them for the forecast towers. That's what a lot of these second zone fights are about, because having that forecast for the remainder of the game and just knowing where every zone is going to pool just makes life so much easier here. And life is something...
I was just gonna say, we're seeing like a glimpse of what will be the grand finals. Like, that is gonna be so significant as we start leaning up towards the grand finals. Of course, you have to make it there. As Freeze just packs this player up. What's that, Ducky and his duo? But yeah, seriously, those forecast battles for Peterbot, for Pollo, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see them at grand finals, right? And when we do, it's just a matter of time if someone's gonna give away those forecasts every single game, right?
Yeah, and again, really cannot specify enough just how important these forecast towers are. Baka, Cars, slightly different strategy to Peterbot and Pollo. Didn't have a full base around the likes of the forecast here and near their drop over by Reclaim Villa, but Baka and Pars, now that they have the forecast secured, they're also going to take this opportunity from this slight elevation they have on the hill. Baka getting some really nice surge tags online up against Haji and Flexi, and now
did you use a calculator
realizes
for
that
that?
he's applied enough pressure. He's feeling comfortable, getting a little bit closer. Slowly, surely, Baka Pars moving up, maintaining height though. Is Baka over Flexi and Haji, just wants to make sure that he has full tabs on where his duo is trying to go.
You just smart.
But Haji, a little bit more damage to his shields. Baka punished slightly for how long he'd extended his peak over his ramp from another team. It's closer to fencing fields.
It's just some of the little things from Haji and Flexi that were giving Baka and Pars all the, you know, confidence to really push them. Building in wood, forgetting the cone, right? Like little things like that. Sharing the one base instead of putting themselves in a position to have multiple angles on defense. That's just what's going to allow Baka to just walk right through you. Take an inch and turn it into a mile every single time when he's on offense like that. You can't allow a player that good to exploit your, you know, your weaknesses that much. But either way, other teams jump in, other teams start to fire in, and stuff does start to swing out of their favor for Cold and Acorn here. The story is getting to the zone, but Eclipse is in a bush. Teams are rotating all around them, so nothing safe just yet. What do we think about Acorn and Cold? I mean, we haven't quite seen them in a position to win a game just yet.
No, I think yesterday was relatively difficult for them. They were dealing with the likes of Yasir and Dorito in the off spawn just south of the fencing fields, and we often saw Acorn and Cold in a solo performance game mode.
Yeah.
The solo is something that Asian Jeff and Oliver OG are trying to avoid right now up against Freeze and Script, but does seem like Asian Jeff, Oliver OG, they have a slight advantage. A little bit of Flowberry Fizz going to come out from Oliver OG, just making sure that Jeff has enough shields to continue trying to challenge up against Sus. Decent peek. He's going to get a little bit of tag damage there onto Sus. Asian Jeff does eat some damage in return, though, towards his shields, and it's just such a direct approach, though. Asian Jeff going to try to fall back behind this cone, throws up the ramp here, and now Oliver OG looking to see if he can make a more side-end approach here.
Yeah, right as you call it,
box.
Oliver's already pretty much just ahead of you. He's like, yeah, no, I got that. I'm not feeling this direct line of sight that I'm giving up to the opponents. He already starts changing up the angles there, trying to play a little smart. Normally it is Asian Jeff, though, who's playing the clever angles. But a little bit standoffish here. Freeze already has 2 elims, too, so they're definitely screaming with confidence right now. This is not a fight they necessarily need, just one that they found themselves in, it seems, by design. Now they have another team here. It's actually Mew, next pawn, tags come out. Nothing connects though. Back on over to Acorn, who's got Snacky in his sight, Convict in his sight. Still haven't quite made it to the safe zone, and we talked about how much of a difficult time they had in day one. We'll take a look at this. Now in the lower bracket, the same issues continue to persist here. Cold is down.
It just seems like Acorn and Cold keep being plagued by this solo situation where if Acorn's up, Cold is gone. If Cold is up, Acorn's gone. It's tough because we're at a stage right now in the game where Acorn could definitely look for a possible reboot van opportunity there for Cold, but then the time that you have to spend to look for that reboot, to get the materials, to get the resources, and we're not even factoring in the rotate, because that was something else that I noticed from game number 1, Monster. We saw a lot of teams actually doing significantly better today as far as their surge damage was concerned. Didn't see too many players falling underneath that threshold in comparison to what we saw in day 1 of uppers, and so some clear adaptations have been made, but the only adaptation for Acorn and Cold really is just trying to maintain being a team. And well, it's not easy, but they still have 3 more lobbies and possibly this one to get through.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see some major adjustments for sure. Clearly something's not quite connecting here, especially since we're past game 1. This is game number 2. Should have seen a much sharper execution here, but back on over to Rise and Iamza right now, who are playing deep into the storm right now here at the Hazy Hillside. Too many teams around them. Them to make a decision too soon, and one of the more dangerous ones, Baka and Bars. Say, nah, let's stay in the zone. Let's go all the way around here.
I'm almost curious if Baka and Pars might have heard the reboot van going off there for Iamzo and Rise, and that might have incentivized them to look for the challenge. Remember, the start of this game was a little bit of a doozy there for Iamzo and Rise, but Pars and Baka not going to be able to find an elimination punish for their troubles. Instead, just eat a little bit of damage from the zone, but nothing too problematic. Problems have increased though for Day and Redux. This Day under so much pressure, teams behind and in front of him. Vorteca trying to do his best to see if he can find the finish onto Day. The Thunderburst will eventually connect here, but it's actually going to be credit given to Ilush, who found himself
right
also
now for me it's 6:30 in the morning. I can't really be loud at all, so I don't actually play Fortnite in the morning. I might do some edit courses if I'm feeling like it.
Especially after they're going to be still down from game number 1.
But right now, we're just watching
It's going to be a
FNCS.
big setback.
Try to gain some intel on how better players play. The season is
Vorteca and Sigma,
irrelevant.
though, might have found themselves in a slightly problematic position. They're trying to get to the high ground now, see if they can avoid. They want to just go through dead side rotate. Vorteca with 2 med kits in tow, also direly in need
But like
of
when
some
they're in
materials
box
here.
fights and everything, it's
So it
pretty
makes
much the
sense why
same
he'd
thing.
want to opt towards this dead side of zone. Don't want to have to worry about other players, but hopefully Vorteca and Sigma were able to
Yeah.
finalize a
So
surge
until like
tag
10
plan
o'clock.
initially.
Obviously, I
But that
work
strategy
at
has
8,
worked out.
so I stream
So
for
if
an
you do hang
hour.
on
If I
dead
work
side
at
long
8,
enough,
if I work at 10,
they'll
I'll stream
reform
till
without the consequences of
till
being underneath
9.
that damage threshold.
But I pretty much always start at 6 in the morning,
Vert right now still hanging on to the Rift Island here.
if not
We'll
earlier.
of course have the launch pad to make the rotate. And notice they were shooting way outside the storm right there for a second. There's a team. It's also
But yeah, this is just kind of
utilizing the storm
our
to
time to
benefit
kind of
it.
chill and hang out, you know what I'm saying? Instead of grind the
This is one of
game, we're
best
just
things Rift
chilling.
Island, of course, has to offer all that brick. So a little pit stop here to get them back in the game. Meanwhile, Cold reboots his teammate and has to fight for it in the storm. And this is likely that team that we saw them shooting at deep into the storm, out the sky. It was Acorn and Cold. Just
Everyone's
shows you
using this
all the
new skin,
troubles
right?
that
I
Cold
kinda
is
want
having to
this
go
style.
through just to get his teammate back in the game. But more importantly, how
gonna
many
lie.
teams are that aware of like what's happening in the storm right here?
Well, that's the thing. Acorn, all he was looking for was a reboot van opportunity. Goes for it and is immediately pressured by G Money.
Oh,
A bit of a desperation attempt. It's always more favorable, though, for Acorn and Cold now that they've eliminated that player. Have a chance to try and get a move on from Reckless Railways, but they are going to be so late with their rotation, Monster. It's good that they have at least a couple hundred damage above that damage threshold. Might be able to alleviate some of the pressure.
What are they doing up there?
Look at this.
Look who it is. Pumping Sphinx. They're still hanging out.
In the zone, by the way.
What
like,
the heck?
in the zone. Not like, oh, they're in the zone. No, in the zone. I'm going to emphasize that. We are so far from the safety. What are they doing?
What do you think are the
That's my
odds
question.
that Pump and Sphinx, oh, actually hold that thought. Sphinx in a whole world of hurt right now. Cold, accurate as ever. He's often regarded for his mechanics for a reason. And that knock onto Sphinx, definitely a massive punish here on Sphinx and Pump for sticking around as long as they did in their little sky base. But yeah, Monster, in the zone, I was going to ask you what the odds. They might have just heard the reboot ban, but so much action just continues to take place. We didn't even get a chance to think about it because we got to worry about Ryzen Iamzo just looking to survive inside of Grand Glacier.
No, I mean, I think it all makes sense now. Now seeing like what all is happening, the surge is active, things are getting super chaotic, right? The servers all fighting one another. They're like, hey, let's just sit back for a second, right? Let things simmer down, and then we'll rotate in. But mistake, Cold and Acorn just so happen to be there. So you could maybe call it unlucky for Pump, but either way, the lack of awareness to have a team fully moving in behind you like that while you're based up, I mean, what are you doing? Like, not gathering information, essentially, at that point. For Yumi and Vertho, they're just continuing to play defense here, and look at how much space they've managed to take control of, and the extra material just sitting inside this base, so they're very well off. Meanwhile, Aegis and Kanata have the zone already on the move here. Haji down. Flexi forced to abandon the save here. And there it is. They know Flexi is gone.
You know, Aegis and Kanata, we're never going to let that knock get away from them. Flexi, Haji, just seemingly no idea. Aegis just poised so quietly with Kanata immediately. These are not your builds. Haji,
we talked about it earlier. Talked about how Haji and Flexi were doing things that was putting them in positions to make it very clear that they're, you know, not quite the best duo in the lobby. And that right there, having the wall not close while you're in the box and a duo below you, that is a huge mistake. And a deserving set of eliminations there for Kanata and Aegis. I mean, they only got one, so Flexi got out of there ultimately, but what a mistake.
Yo, what's up, Isabella?
Very heavy punish as well, which is what you would expect from a team with as much veteranship as Aegis and Kanata. And talking about veterans inside of this lobby, Peterbot Poyo still trying to find their victory royale in the upper bracket. And it could start here at the Grand Glacier, but with the zone having pulled towards this side of the map, the elevation could definitely be problematic once these moving zones come into play. And Peterbot content with their current damage threshold, but likely always going to look for more. Wonder if he's going to try and stick as well, more towards the left side.
I was just going to say, this is uncharacteristic for this team. They normally have a lot more, so, you know, this lobby needs to be a little careful of them. They're going to be looking for a fight.
Jeff.
Meanwhile, Asian Jeff tried to medkit in the storm here to buy himself a little chance, and he's going to jump down and defend himself very well there. That's far north, so he was trying to wait, see if the zone ends up moving towards him. Here's a look at Clicks and Epic Whale right now. We're at this bottom right side of the storm right here. Sniper
really
in
like
hand.
this. They're not overly committed to the high ground, but they're also not so far down that they couldn't just find themselves reestablishing into the safety net of that mid-tier base that they had built up. But Clicks right now just has his priority set on getting his shield back to full. 2 limbs though onto Epic and 420 damage above. Definitely a big deal here. This team can just continue to try and focus almost entirely on positioning. And you were talking about how uncharacteristic it was for Peterbot and Pollo to not have more damage. Well, they certainly seem to make some more happen. Acorn just gonna be one of the first victims.
What are the chances? Like,
they heard you.
We talked about Acorn and Cole just, you know, pulling a little short on luck, and then you just have Peterbot and Pollo, who, again, uncharacteristically are only 100 above the surge. Normally they're so much further ahead, and they just single you out. It's gonna be a problem for any team they single out, and it just so happens to be Acorn, and they break through those metal builds as if they were wood structures. Acorn is trying right now, by the way, to fight. Meanwhile, Chubbs is trying to just defend. Very different stories. Cole ends up getting taken out either way there by Kanata, by Azers. Chubbs successfully defends here with Bryce, buys himself a little bit more room. Grapples start to come out. Rotates are good. This is going way up the mountain, and it's good that you do it here early before the extra builds come out, and this is an excellent spot for Chubbs to be in here. However, there are teams on the layer. Yup. So good on him to open up, give him a little bit of room, but Bryce has got to get here. He's got to get here quick.
And that was my concern, is whether or not Bryce was able to follow Chubbs as effectively, but now that they are in the same box, it's clear. They're both able to make their way up the mountain face for the time being, and now just applying some pressure onto the layers below. It's going to be TK, though, with the knock onto Eclipse. Bacon trying to see if he can hang tight there, but with Chubbs and Bryce just doing a great job at making sure to prevent any teams from challenging their current box while still putting so much pressure onto the low ground.
I like it. Like the angles. But look at this. All the way at the top of this mountain here, Re and Ritual, the first to claim the territory. However, it's going to be short-lived here. The zone's going right back out and over this mountain. They do have a launch pad. Oh, look at that. They're going to actually set up for the launch pad. So they want to utilize the launch pad here. As opposed to just walking down the build, they're going to go for the scenic route, if you will.
The scenic
route.
For a
second there.
It's always so funny when you're just seeing every single one of these teams that were at the very tip top of that mountain steadily work their way down here. For some of these teams that were already situated on this mountain face, you have to remember a decent amount of boxes already having been established. Peterbot and Pollo, one of them, looking to see if they can find another elimination below. A little bit of Pinter pressured for time here, 24 below that damage threshold. Super unconventional Peterbot and Pollo, but all of these builds getting chopped in front of Reek, clearing the pathway for his glider, and now immediately overtaking the high ground. And he's got Ritual right behind him.
This is very, very high up. I was going to say, this does not
look right.
Height. Why is there such a huge structure here? It should not be like that. There's nothing supporting this foundationally, like it's in the middle of nowhere. And there it is. Finally, it all starts to break. I'm not sure why anyone would have thought it was a good idea to try to base up that high, even if it meant you secure high ground. It's just too tall for it to be in the middle of nowhere.
Hey, Possessed doing what he can to try and hold things down. Lost Snacky, but Possessed doing a great job of just chopping all these teams that are attempting to look for that overtake on height. Still, though, Baka, Pars, they want to be the ones that establish themselves up high. And a decent job. It looks like they're trying to find a potential section that they could look to connect to. But it does seem as though the lobby, there's just so much congestion on the mountain face.
That's a great shot to show you just how far out that tower of a structure was, by the way. Not supported by any foundation. The mountain's still quite a ways off. Meanwhile, Epic Whale just obliterates someone who's trying to stay alive there in the storm for a second. This is down to placement for Epic at this point. Meanwhile, all the way up top, Baka has to fight for it, loses Pars. In the process, he had the high ground for a moment, but it was so short-lived, and now it all comes crumbling down here. Loses everything in the process. There's new controllers of the narrative up top. Rocane and Revised back at it, but so is Peterbot and Pollo.
Keep in mind, Peterbot and Pollo as well with that forecast tower this game, and look at how far it's made their run. But Revise, Rokane doing an excellent job to push back the likes of Peterbot and Poyo, although Revise incredibly low on builds. Now it's just about sabotaging these other teams underneath them to prevent them from challenging since they don't have builds. But absolutely tearing through Ritual here. There is no safety net inside the zone.
Shit.
Peterbot and Poyo doing a great job this game, playing with one another, sticking with their teammates. They finally get a moment right here. This is a very important moment for them to analyze the situation, do the math, and they say, okay, it's a 2v2v1, but one's already down. It's a 2v1 now. We have to go for this, and Peterbot's looking for an angle, but he doesn't have the builds. He has to build all the way around, tries to break the structure. Poyo's here to back up.
Yes!
This is where they do it best, and they turn this game around and finally secure a victory royale.
Yeah, if you were wondering about our forecast towers worth the engagement in that second zone, 100%. Peterbot and Poyo finally get control of the forecast.
Okay. Wow. That's actually crazy. So now we got... Alright. Sounds good.
Halfway point. I'd feel comfortable calling game 3 halfway point in 5-match format. Keeping in mind, all these players are looking for here today in the upper bracket is that victory royale. 5 possible games. We've already established
Anton's
2
Edit and
winners on the
Gaming.
day. Boogle
Thanks for
Embiid,
subscribing.
Game 1. Peterbot and Poyo able to claim game 2 finally. 3rd time's the charm though. And who's gonna look to take it as Possess Snacky try to start things off hot here at Snooty. And also keep in mind, this is a format that is definitely very punishing towards teams that aren't able to be successful in these head-to-head off-spawn battles, Monster, because if you get elimed 1 game too many early on, you don't accrue any points. Lower bracket's not where you want to be, and Victor sending his teammates' hopes a little bit further here as he gets the revive onto Blizzard. A nice double elimination in the head-to-head battle we've been seeing time and time again here taking place by the Lovely Lodge.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. We already know that, you know, the WCJ duo that was landing here, like, they weren't finishing the fight fast by any means. It was gonna happen eventually if Victor and Blizzard came out on top here. But look at this, Edgy and Tavern continues to do this. Baka Par's landing. I mean, I don't even know what to call it. Just throw Baka right off the mountain.
That's crazy.
Blaze,
what
you know,
the
Par's
fuck?
up the sky, done and done. Look at this. We jump on over to Tex here. Bylox, they take down TSM Snacky as well. So, you know, again, matter of time, like we chatted about. This is where all the other teams that have been contested now seemingly have their chance to play a little bit of Fortnite here.
There you go.
I think what we're also encountering, though, is teams that are already making some of those adjustments in terms of where they want to drop. Because if teams haven't been able to find success in games 1 or 2, I can't blame them for wanting to maybe take their chances elsewhere. And for Tex and Bylox, switching things up, going for the Snooty steps maneuver. I like it because they found...
Is there a guy in the roof?
The plays that they needed to with the eliminations, and now Cirrus stuck, honestly, as a solo, just waiting for those 2 to leave first.
We'll probably end stream after this game.
We have here
Batman.
threats encrypted sitting inside the building. Another player
What the heck?
just simply waiting it out, you know, doesn't want to play his hand, can't move, make a
Duking
sound.
threats.
Otherwise, he'll get collapsed onto. And this is a battle I feel like we saw in the upper bracket as well. So they're
Guys, I'm
taking it
thinking
right
make a
on
mongrel
into this lower
edit.
bracket conversation.
It's gonna be.
So
It's gonna be
Threats
sick.
knows, you know, there's no fooling Threats at
Once
this
I get
point.
around to
Encrypted.
it.
We've likely seen it all already,
It's
right?
gonna be sick.
Many times over the course of the weekend.
Bro, what is this guy doing?
Likely prepared for everything. If anything, this closed door is probably the giveaway at this point.
What?
But at the same time, Threats and Duke definitely a little bit more preoccupied with trying to deal with Grand Glacier getting that medallion and the mythic online first, probably before looking to see where exactly Encrypted is hanging around at, because Encrypted and Ducky were challenging Duke and Threats all day yesterday. Flexi, though, by Pleasant Fiazi, it's a massive shot, and it's going to be Jezzy immediately trying to follow things up here. Just taking full advantage of that first fire shot onto Haji. And that full elimination now, it's up
1v1.
to Hayes to figure out if he wants to continue fighting this or if he's just going to opt to retreat. Recognizing that there's just too many teams, too many players in the area for him to handle as a solo.
This is a good disengage here. That other duo coming in, although he likely to finish the fight, it did have the advantage already, turning things back around onto Flex. But he peels out of there, and it does seem like that was a fresh 2 duos. And another set coming in. TK and Bacon being one of the few that's quick on the move, but we jump in with Jiv in here. Threats loses Duke.
Oh, what?
While picking up Encrypted. Okay, so things definitely developed while we stepped away here. Eliminations were picked up and teams have moved in now. And Piggle surely got the full finish there onto Dukes.
And Jiven and Piggle, they don't drop too far away from Gland Glacier to begin with.
Gland Glacier, bro. Like, what are these announcers doing? You have one job,
would be to challenge the team that's
and it's to know the map and know the players.
And we saw this strategy in the last match from Peterbot and Pollo, just full base around the entirety of the forecast tower.
Gland Glacier, bro.
Ritual now on patrol to see if he can get some tags online, just try to create the damage opportunities for himself while waiting for these NPCs to spawn to take advantage of this forecast tower. He's anxious, he wants it.
Situated here, absolutely ready. We're gonna make quick work of this here. Waste no time. I mean, this is it. This is the key, right? And you're just seeing how this is gonna affect grand finals, right? That's what's gonna really come into play when we start gearing up for next week. Now we already know Peterbot, he's gonna be there. Polio is gonna be there, right?
For sure. But the other thing I kind of want to keep tabs on, and it could be difficult to track throughout a match, but these players that are hanging out near the forecast towers, Edgy and Tavern, looking to confirm, if they haven't already, their forecast tower. But it's teams that might be able to recognize these teams that are actually getting the forecast online for themselves and just maintaining a safe distance from behind, because if a team has forecast, they're going to know exactly where to rotate for zones. Just curious to see if anybody chooses to trail along behind them. It's Clicks and Epic, they don't want anybody following them. It's one elimination onto Sigma's duo, and now Clicks Epic just want to refarm their brick. And
why can't people name themselves normal?
Yeah, it's interesting though, in the grapple blade meta, you know, forecast tower is extremely powerful. You just have so much mobility to be able to position up perfectly.
I think it's also just the case here for Clicks and Epic. They're not really in any sort of rush to depart from Lavish Lair. Just continuing to spend their time. Epic's gonna be looking to farm out his resources.
Throw Clicks. Your movement.
After that last engagement, you can imagine some materials having been expended, but Braids visuals in a little bit of a rough spot here at Rebels Roost. User and Havoc trying to hold their own, but it's gonna be Braids first to back off here. Create a little bit of space from those boxes. Likely just to give Visuals the opportunity,
bro, like these people
to try and regen some of his shield.
Are you kidding me?
Nobody
There's
wants
trees.
to find themselves playing out game number 3 as a solo already, if not fully E-limb. So Braids and Visuals just making sure to keep surveillance on the team behind them while they push forward.
Ooh, and that almost is the case here for Ritual, but he does pick up Reed. Reed falls in the exchange here against Pump. Now you have Eclipse down low and Pulpy. Look at that, Ritual.
Oh, that would have been so sick.
definitely has the disadvantage here, so for him to jump in makes sense to try to take control of things for a moment, get a more favorable angle. Still weird terrain, pretty tough to play off of. It's gotta be careful. Proceed with caution.
Looks like there might be another duo moving nearby, a little bit west of where this engagement taking place, but Kanata, Azure still hanging out by their forecast tower. Will start to make the move now, though. Close to Ritzy Riviera still, but Ritual and Reed, this engagement's not done just yet. Ritual finds his opening, puts a little bit of pressure onto Victor's backside, but again, continuing to try and wrap around. Wants to see if he can get some finalized tags with this Thunderburst onto Victor. Just getting the Surge damage alone would be nice, but a team even further west from Ritual and Reed are gonna force Ritual to pay a little bit more attention their way. Reed still trying to see if he can maintain visuals of Victor, but unfortunately it does seem as though that opportunity for another elimination has just managed to escape. But Ritual and Reed bound to have gotten some decent damage still in the process.
Yeah, and such just a great position to be in on the mat. To
Bro, how would you miss that? He was wide open.
They're right back at max stone,
What the
like, like it never happened. Essentially all the brick in the world there. All right,
these guys suck.
You know, cameras are on you guys. We
To
really
be fair,
need to
they
see
don't
something
suck. They just
start
suck at
clicking
using
here
the
for this
grapple.
team.
Or the grapple, man.
Again, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that Peterbot in Pollo's situation where they needed Surge, you know, doesn't happen very often, right? That was a tough game too. But this game here now, game 3, fresh slate.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for letting me use your charger.
No problem. Thanks.
Picking back up. Can they just really dig deep and turn something at least into an end game, right? See some life out of them in the end game together is what we need to see how they play it out.
And that's the thing, right? I don't feel like we've really got an opportunity to see them as a duo much.
Not at all.
In the end game, but if they make it as a duo into the end game, they are 1000% a team that we could definitely expect to have a high possibility of getting a victory royale. Yamzo and Rise, much on the same note as Acorn and Cole, just
and you get shot
difficulties. I mean, they've done consistently well at maintaining their spot in that top 25 of the leaderboard, but again, these guys, they want a victory royale. They don't want to have to play through the entirety of all 3 days of competition, especially when they see so many of their respected peers having already qualified to grands.
Time in the game, everyone is really gonna start playing for positioning here, start playing for the surge to start turning online, giving those warning signs out. Every rotate is so
Wait, does he not
critical right
yeah,
here.
he has a teammate. Where's his
teammate? You could be
teammate?
moving right past a player like Siren who's just sitting in a bush and you wouldn't even realize it. So Chubbs is, I was just gonna say, walking his way towards danger, little does he know. And this is the same situation for most teams here. The Rift Island does start to come up now. Visual and Braids are going to be some of the first to jump up towards it. Whoa. Someone already positioned just nearby.
It's a lot of
Tag them
teams.
before they even get up there. I don't even think they're at the top of the Rift Island. I'm not sure what exactly happened there.
It's just all these teams boxed up on the hill surrounding Rift Island. The moment that Visuals tried to connect and went up into the Rift, it was the moment that he pulled the intention of the lobby. But he will manage to make it safely back to Braids, and once they capture Rift Island, that surplus of materials that's going to come out in their favor, Visual's probably not concerned about the couple of tags he ate. It's more so a priority focus here for Braids or Visuals. One of them just needs to be patrolling, needs to be ensuring that they get their surge tags online. And that does seem to be the prerogative right now for Braids. got a slightly higher layer from this mini base that he's put on the top of Rift Island. Will opt to move to another rooftop here, see if he can get another angle of approach. Visual, same idea on the opposite end of the island. So these two splitting their focus to try and attack two different angles, see if they can get some search tags online. Because it is a relatively flat area where Rift Island happened to spawn, just a handful of hills, so definitely really easy for Visual and Braids to get a good idea of where exactly these teams are trying to position and rotate.
Take a look at this. Threats is holding this down by himself right now. Definitely raising the, I was going to say, the danger levels, and Dukes tries to get to Threats. He gets hit with a sniper shot by Pickle.
A sniper shot? It was not a sniper shot.
Luckily,
you could hear the
they're
AR.
not going to be overly aggressive for the opportunity right now. Jiven and Pickle are content with the damage, and they back off. This could have ended really badly for Threats and Duke, who are down in this low ground area. And keep in mind, they're inside the top 10 as well. They're playing exceptionally well overall at the moment.
But for Pickle to not want to push after hearing that shield break, it is definitely some strong discipline. You've got to imagine they're set as far as their surge tech damage is concerned. But now Rapid, Batman Booga up against the likes of Kyux and Decay. Rapid left that edit open just a little bit too long. Loses about half of his shield from the likes of Decay and Kyux, and it does seem as though the opportunity here for Rapid and Batman Booga to try and find an elimination or two won't necessarily pan out in their favor. But on another note, a player like Yamzo,
oh, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he wants this up against Victor, and Victor, a very disadvantageous position. Nowhere left for him to run. Yamzo and Rise, sure, they get the elimination, but might still be looking for a little bit more Storm Surge damage, and they might have just found it up against Evigus and Ponder, but no, Yamzo, Rise, trying to make sure that they don't eat too much damage from teams that are starting to rotate from their east, while still maintaining a line of sight here on the duo directly west of them.
Look at this. They definitely don't really need it. And this is showing that right now, all they should be focused on is moving to the new zone, but wood builds, tempting, very, very tempting.
Oh,
and they find a player there,
and
this is why you go back for it. They even end up recycling the crash pad and Ponder. I'm sorry to say it. We already saw what he did.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's about over.
What was he
sorry
thinking?
You missed the crash pad the first time. Yamzo and Rise make quick work of Ponder there. And now they're definitely set up. All they need to do here is make it to endgame. For Day and Redux, they're trying to find that glory that presented itself to them in game number 1. As they let that win condition just slip away, but shots come in from behind, shots come in from in front.
Bro, you're
Redux
so...
goes down, Plur gets the last laugh here as he
They're just
finishes
taking
off Day
shots,
and
bro,
gets to save
in
his
the
teammate.
back.
And this is all because there was a team shooting on the heels. We'll see if there's going to be a short-lived celebration here. What team is that? It's Kanata, it's Agers.
Ooh.
And now, as far as Day and Redux are concerned, maybe kicking themselves. This engagement just outside of the zone. The cost of their third lobby performance, definitely a steep price to pay, but for Plur, probably just happy that he was able to get that revive onto Slum Shell, because those two eliminations now, I think, are the exact reason why they don't feel the necessity to actually take this challenge that Kanata and Agers were trying to initially present. Instead, they got to rotate sooner.
I was going to say, keep in mind, Kanata and Agers don't even get any elimination credit for that. They just get damage out of that, which is equally important. The fact that they were shooting, I was just going to say, shows us that they weren't that comfortable. They weren't happy with the last Storm Surge revealing the damage that they had done so far in the lobby, because they wouldn't have otherwise been so active in such an odd position with so many teams nearby, generating that much attention. Cold and Acorn also in a bit of a problematic situation here, but for Cold and Acorn, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, hot I was gonna say hot and cold. That's just terrible. It's like a light. It's just on or off, right, when it comes down to Surge. And honestly,
like
because
a
that's
light.
the performance
Like a
overall of
light.
what we've seen so
Out
far,
like
they have
a
been
light.
so offline. But with this rotate here, with the duo in front of them, with the, you know, the target in sight, this is gonna be everything right now. How they turn this situation around is so important here because they need damage. They need to get active right now while they have this zone. They have so much going for them so far in this game here.
Decent investment from Cold as well for his middle materials. Gonna opt to box up for the time being, and they have plenty of options surrounding them. In fact, the opposition making themselves known here as Bacon desperately trying to dive into Cold's box. Almost makes you wonder if he might be below that surge threshold. In fact, it's gonna be the immediate knockdown. Bacon breaks through the wall, but Cold more than prepared to put him right back down for it. And Cold and Acorn as well, again, just barely managing to maintain above that damage threshold. And they're not the only team feeling a little bit of pressure here right now, MDF, and
Damn. That looks
still need to be
pretty
looking for more damage.
sexy.
And you can tell
No.
Cold and Acorn are just really not trying to make any mistakes whatsoever. Cold could have easily made that edit by himself. He's like, hey, Acorn, are you ready for this edit, by the way? Like, I'm not making no mistakes here. They wait until they are both fully disciplined, fully, you know, lined up for the shot there, even though they had that player boxed up. Just, yeah, you could feel the pressure on Cold and Acorn's shoulder, how much this particular game means to them, how much this opportunity right now, because they are center zone right now. They really have a chance, but hold up, Revise and Rocane, a lot of pressure on them, 60 below. It's just teetering back and forth here, so a fight will continue to break out between them, Visuals, Braids, and the other duos nearby, but nothing seems too settled just yet.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of congestion, though, starting to build on the left side of this zone. Revise, Rocane, not able to break away from it just yet either. Too much focus currently from Revise. He's trying to see if he can find any gaps, any window edits opening up for some of these other teams, so he can look for a moment to punish. Nearly gets punished himself in the process of looking for tags onto Epic and Clicks. But at least for right now, 7 above, it's still 7 above the damage threshold. You've got room to breathe, but for just how long? Advisor Rocane certainly not trying to find themselves smothered by the rest of the lobby is now Clicks,
How
Epic.
do you make yourself
Still
all
the priority
gray, bruh?
focus, it would seem, from Revised.
I'm looking at it and I
You say
don't
they have
really
room to
get it.
breathe, and I'm just thinking like, nah, man, he's got like a medium t-shirt on. Like, it's a little, it's kind of tight. Like,
a medium.
use a
No,
little
but it still
bit of room
fits.
here.
It still fits.
It still fits. It still fits. He's doing just fine. Cold and Acorn back to 2 damage above. Very, very tumultuous rotate here. Shots coming in. Damage happening everywhere. That's not your duo. Cold realizes that for a moment there and gets the full finish, and that actually might be the perfect delivery for him.
Wow.
Now, Acorn is hurt here. They will have to stop. They will have to pop their shields. But they get the damage
it's
that
so
they
congested
need. So
right now.
honestly, it probably worked out just the way it was supposed to here. But Cold really has to get a grip of this situation. He's not too sure if this is safe, if this is unsafe territory. And you can see he loses his teammate once again in the process here.
Wait.
Oh, saves him though.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful play there from Cold.
Wow.
Just breaks the box that Acorn had been stuck in a layer above. And now Cold going for the revive. I think he's gonna get away with
look
it as
how many
well.
people
No
are
one
there.
nearby
Man.
feeling comfortable with trying to pressure, probably because they don't know exactly which boxes Cold and Acorn are actually situated up in. But now, with Acorn back online, Monster, the dream is still going here in game number 3.
Acorn back
No, seriously,
online.
like, now we could really root for Cold and Acorn here. However, I'm not,
Dude, there's so
I'm not
many
crazy
people.
about how they keep breaking up. These grapple hook plays just seem super, super all over the place, a little bit scattered. It's almost like we don't know who's leading this duo right now. If it's Cold, is it Acorn? Like, where is the plays? Where is this team trying to go right now? It's like they're trying to figure it out. Still get into the groove. Find their footing here. Clix and Epic are doing a much better job sticking with one another. They seem to be super in sync. If you jump on over to Ritual, forced to play this one out by himself, opting to go for the ultimate low ground. I like this spot. He's on the outskirts here. He's got options in front of him, but plenty of dangerous territory in front, and recognizing that danger here. Look at this, all these old builds. Likely this is Reed's old loot there.
But also, Ritual in this kind of situation, waiting for the zone to move. He's gonna probably try to hang. I was gonna say a little bit more to that backside, but no, instead tries to tackle front of this moving zone, but not going for the high ground just yet. That'll be Clix and Epic looking to take down Crisp and Noxy. Clix just so aggressive here, and alongside Epic, they do successfully push off Crisp and Noxy from the high ground, but Clix having some trouble with targeting out in front of him. And again, just not much to support these builds that Clix and Epic have going for them currently, MDF.
He doesn't care. They just finally want to see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel. Meanwhile, Cold is still up and running things right now. Meanwhile, Agers also goes for high
Meanwhile,
so this
shut
is just
the
an
fuck.
exchange of hands here. Clix
Meanwhile.
had a moment, right? You know, they thought they had it, then all of a sudden Agers and Kanata are like, no. They have continued to fight for this over and over again. It's almost like a repeat of Peterbot and Boyo just banging their head against the wall, trying to find different results. On the low ground here, Iamzo and Rise continuing to fight for their lair, but they need that refresh. They want to do it while they still have something to work with. But Rise gets caught out by himself. He does end up finding elimination. Another set of duels in front of him. A huge tag here onto Havoc. And User is extremely hurt. So there goes all that loot that they wanted. There goes a potential win condition in front of them. But no med kits. This is what they're looking for right now. Kanata does have 2.
Everybody is just looking so incredibly low, though, in that mid-ground layer. Iamzo, Rise, they could come up massive. Certainly a team that knows how to control some of these lower layers. And Iamzo, Rise doing a great job at making sure to stick next to each other. We've seen so many duos getting split up, and that second of isolation is all it takes sometimes to lead to a pickoff. But Iamzo, Rise, 7 eliminations, possibly still going, doing such a great job at continuing to tarp out this low ground, trying to see if they can find anyone else to pick off here in the process. It's gonna be Iamzo with 3 medkits in tow. The heal-up has started. Sphinx and Pump will find Rise. Unfortunately, Rise unable to distribute the damage he was aiming for, while Iamzo continues to sit in the back, waiting for these medkits to go off, hoping that he's going to be able to outlast the likes of some of these other teams. Kanata very much the same intention, as well as Pump. It's really just a matter of who's got more medkits.
Yeah, and I think Kanata's got this. He definitely was the last one to pop his medkit. It seems like he's found out where Iamzo is. So long as he doesn't take damage here, he'll be just fine. And Pump swinging around the side here. So wait, pressure is on for Kanata right now. He gets shot. He gets caught out. He doesn't make mistakes like that often, and it seems like he may have just let his guard down.
Damn.
Let Sphinx and Pump work, and I love that you mentioned letting the guard down, because we saw what happened to Sphinx.
Well, Agers and now Kanata still, they're in that 5th place, right? So basically they're kind of like 2nd, if you want to think about it that way. But also Iamzo and Rise jumping up 8 placements after that game. Again, we're trying to still be somewhat consistent, right, Viv? Because once we go to grand finals, we're going to kind of go back into the Fortnite we're kind of used to.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the live stream. I'll see you guys later. Probably this afternoon. Bye.